How are you guys doing? Today is Monday, February 7th, 2022. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to review the Elite matchups and performances that took place yesterday on Sunday, February 6th, 2022. And of course, I'm going to preview everything that's going to happen today on the 7th. And before I go in, just to take a quick step back and look at where we are in the calendar year. We are in the final week of the NFL season, as Super Bowl 56 will be this Sunday. College basketball and pro basketball are in the second halves of their seasons, and because we are at the beginning of the 2022 year, we are on the second half of the soccer schedules in Europe. Not to mention that the 2022 African Cup of Nations is officially over. There is now one team that has its claim to the title. And of course, I'm going to jump into what's been going on in day 2 of the 2022 Winter Olympics in Beijing, China. So I'm going to start with what's going on with college basketball from yesterday. Looking at the top 25 teams that played, there were 3 of them. Starting with the 6th ranked team in the nation, the Houston Cougars went to Cincinnati to face off against the unranked Cincy Bearcats. Houston beat Cincinnati 80-57. They won this matchup by 22 after outscoring Cincy by 11 in both halves. On the winning end, the 6th ranked Houston Cougars were led in scoring by their starting forward, Fabian White Jr. out of Atascocita, Texas. He will go on to finish with 22 points, 9 rebounds, and 2 blocks in 32 minutes. He shot 8 for 13 from the field, 4 for 5 from 3, and a perfect 2 for 2 from the foul line. With this win, the 6th ranked Houston Cougars are 20-2. They are 9-0 in the American Athletic Conference. They are the only team that is undefeated and the only team that has less than 2 losses so far in conference play. With this loss, the 15-7 Cincinnati Bearcats are now 5-4 in the American Conference. Looking at what's going on with the 15th ranked team in the nation, the Providence Friars will go to Washington, D.C., face off against the worst team in their conference, the unranked Georgetown Hoyas. Providence beat Georgetown 71-52. They won this matchup by 19 after outscoring Georgetown by 22 in the second half. On the winning end of this matchup, the 15th ranked Friars were led in scoring by their guard off the bench, Jared Bynum out of Largo, Maryland. He will go on to finish with 32 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and 5 steals in 31 minutes. He shot 11 for 15 from the field, 7 for 8 from 3, and a perfect 3 for 3 from the foul line. With this win, the 15th ranked Providence Friars are 20-2. They are 10-1 in the Big East. They have the best record in the conference so far. With this loss, the unranked Georgetown Hoyas are 6-15. They are 0-10 in the Big East Conference. They are the only team that still has yet to win in the conference. They have the worst record in the Big East so far this year. And last but not least, looking at the 16th ranked team in the nation, the Ohio State Buckeyes hosted the unranked Maryland Terrapins. Ohio State beat Maryland 82-67. They won this game by 15 after they outscored Maryland by 13 in the first half. On the winning end of this matchup, the 16th ranked Buckeyes were led in scoring by their starting forward, E.J. Liddell. He finished with 24 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists in 32 minutes. He shot 9 for 14 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3, and he would shoot 4 for 6 from the foul line. With this win, the 16th ranked Ohio State Buckeyes are now 14-5. They are 7-3 in the Big Ten. They are currently holding on to the 5th best record in the conference. They are one of 4 teams with 3 losses so far. With this loss, the unranked Maryland Terrapins are 11-12. They are now 3-9 in the Big Ten. That is the 3rd worst record in the conference. That is what went down yesterday. Taking a look at what's going down today amongst these ranked teams, the 9th ranked Duke Blue Devils are going to host the unranked Virginia Cavaliers on ESPN in Cameron. That's going to be at 7. That's going to be the first matchup taking place. At 9 o'clock, the 7th ranked Arizona Wildcats are going to go to Arizona State to face off against the unranked Sun Devils in Tempe, Arizona. That's going to be on Fox Sports 1. And then at the same time at 9, the second game on ESPN is going to feature the 23rd ranked Texas Longhorns. They're going to host the 10th ranked Kansas Jayhawks. Kansas entered this matchup with an 8-1 Big 12 record, and Texas enters this matchup with a 6-4 Big 12 record. Now, taking a look at what went down in the professional levels, jumping first to the NFL. Yesterday was the Pro Bowl that, of course, comprised of the best players that were selected out of the NFC and the AFC. And because the game was in Las Vegas, the AFC would be hosting. The AFC would end up beating the NFC 41-35 in a game that many would consider, a little soft. I can see that a little bit because they did have to wrap up, but considering their seasons are over and they're not going to risk their contracts, of course, it makes sense. Taking a look at how the scoring went, the AFC opened it up in the first quarter as Darius Leonard would get a 45-yard pick six to the house to put the AFC up. The NFC would open its scoring with a 14-yard touchdown pass from Kirk Cousins to Kyle Juszczyk. AFC would strike right back with a 15-yard touchdown pass from Justin Herbert to Mark Andrews within the minute. The NFC would end the first half with a 63-yard pick six from Antoine Winfield Jr. of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In the second quarter, the AFC opened up the scoring after Myles Garrett would recover a fumble 22 yards for a touchdown. Mac Jones would throw a 2-point conversion to Deontay Johnson to put the AFC up 23-13, put them up by 9. The NFC would respond as Kyler Murray threw a 19-yard touchdown pass to Mike Evans, the elite wide receiver for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then a 2-point conversion was converted off of a Murray pass to CeeDee Lamb to put the NFC down 22-21. Justin Herbert would end the first half with a 7-yard touchdown pass to Mark Andrews. The 2-point conversion, there was not any extra points after that, so they went into halftime up 28-21 over the NFC. They would score both the touchdowns in the third quarter, or the AFC did, as Mac Jones threw a 6-yard touchdown pass to Hunter Renfrow to go up 13, and then Stephon Diggs would run it in from 4 yards out, juking out his brother Trayvon Diggs to put the AFC up 41-21 to end the third. And in the fourth quarter, the NFC scored both touchdowns as Kyler Murray threw a 5-yard touchdown pass to Kyle Pitts, and then he threw a 5-yard touchdown pass to Dalvin Cook with 2.5 minutes left. The AFC would run the clock out and win this game, of course, in front of the Raiders fans. This is the 5th year in a row that the AFC has beat the NFC. Looking at how both teams fared statistically, on the losing end of this matchup, the NFC Pro Bowlers were led by Kyler Murray. The elite starting quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals would complete 18 of his 27 passes as he threw for 160 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. Their second leading passer was the Seattle Seahawks elite starting quarterback Russell Wilson out of Wisconsin and North Carolina State. He would go on to complete 9 of his 17 passes as he threw for 77 yards, and he threw for 2 interceptions. Kirk Cousins, the Minnesota Vikings starting quarterback, would complete 6 of his 10 passes as he threw for 66 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. The NFC quarterbacks combined would throw for 286 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. The NFC's leading rusher was the Vikings' elite starting wide receiver, Justin Jefferson. He had 1 carry for 7 yards, as Justin Jefferson also had 46 yards through the air. He had 53 total yards of offense. The NFC's leading receiver was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers' elite wide receiver, Mike Evans. He finished with 2 receptions for 50 yards and a touchdown. The San Francisco 49ers starting fullback, Kyle Juszczyk, finished with 2 receptions for 88 yards as he had a receiving touchdown. The Minnesota Vikings elite running back Dalvin Cook had 2 carries for 5 yards on the ground. He would also go on to finish with 3 receptions for 17 yards and a touchdown. He had 22 total yards of offense with his touchdown. And then the Atlanta Falcons elite tight end Kyle Pitts would finish with 2 receptions for 11 yards as he had the team's 4th receiving touchdown. On the defensive side of the ball, Devin White, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers starting linebacker, would finish with the game high in tackles. He finished with 14 of them on the day. Micah Parsons, the elite linebacker for the Dallas Cowboys, finished with 8 tackles as he had a sack. Cameron Jordan, the elite defensive end for the Saints, finished with 2 tackles as he recovered recovered a fumble. Not to mention that Brian Burns, the defensive end for the Panthers, would finish with 2 tackles as he had 2 sacks. Javon Hargrave, the defensive tackle for the Philadelphia Eagles, finished with 3 tackles as he had a sack as well. The team combined for 4 of them. The team's 4 interceptions would, of course, go to J.T. Gray, Marshawn Lattimore, the elite corner for the New Orleans Saints, Trayvon Diggs, the elite corner for the Dallas Cowboys, and Antoine Winfield Jr., the safety for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Antoine Winfield Jr. would, of course, get a 63-yard pick six. And, of course, going back to J.T. Gray, J.T. Gray is the DB for the Saints, or the safety for the Saints that was voted in. And on the winning end of this matchup, the AFC would be led in yardage by their alternate selection, the New England Patriots rookie starting quarterback Mac Jones out of Alabama. He will go on to complete 12 of his 16 passes as he threw for 112 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. He also ran for 2 yards. That's 114 total yards of offense. Their starting quarterback was their elite young starting quarterback, Justin Herbert, last year's Offensive Rookie of the Year for the LA Chargers. He would complete 7 of his 11 passes as he threw for 98 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. Their third leading passer was the Kansas City Chiefs' elite starting quarterback, the $500 million man, Patrick Mahomes. He would complete 5 of his 10 passes as he threw for 53 yards and an interception. Their fourth leading receiver, of course, was the Buffalo Bills elite wide receiver Stephon Diggs as he threw a 15-yard pass. He would also have 29 receiving yards, and he would also have 4 yards on the ground. He would combine for 48 total yards of offense along with his rushing touchdown. The AFC's leading rusher was Nick Chubb, the Cleveland Browns' elite starting running back. He would finish with 6 carries for 17 yards on the day. He also had 29 yards through the air. He would combine for 46 total yards of offense. The AFC's leading receiver was the Baltimore Ravens starting tight end in the first-team All-NFL tight end Mark Andrews from the Baltimore Ravens. He had 5 receptions for 82 yards as he had 2 of the team's 3 touchdowns. And then Hunter Renfrow, the tight end for the slot receiver for the Las Vegas Raiders, would finish with 5 receptions for 43 yards as he had the team's 3rd receiving touchdown. On the defensive side of the ball, Matthew Judon, the Patriots' elite linebacker out of Grand Valley State, would finish with the AFC's team high in tackles. He had 6 of them. Max Crosby from the Las Vegas Raiders would finish with 5 tackles as he had 2 of the team's sacks. Their elite linebacker for the Pittsburgh Steelers, TJ Watt, would finish with 5 tackles as he had a sack for himself. Myles Garrett, the Cleveland Browns' elite defensive end, would finish with a recovered fumble, and then not to mention their kicker would, of course, add 3 extra points. Justin Tucker, so did Jake Elliott on the NFC side. With this win, of course, the AFC has won the Pro Bowl, and every single player that got a touchdown, of course, donated to their charity. And this will be the last time these players will play in a regulated football game that isn't preseason until September. Congratulations to all these dudes for making the Pro Bowl, and it looked like they had a lot of fun doing it. The next game that's going to be played in the NFL will, of course, be the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl will take place this Sunday, February 13th, in SoFi Stadium in Inglewood. It'll be on NBC if you're trying to follow it. Taking a look at what went down in the NBA from yesterday, starting off in Chicago, the Chicago Bulls hosted the Philadelphia 76ers. The Bulls would end up falling short to the 76ers. The Sixers beat the Bulls 119-108. Sixers won this game by 11 after they outscored the Bulls by 8 in the first quarter. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Chicago Bulls were led in scoring by their all-star starting small forward, DeMar DeRozan. He finished with 45 points, 9 rebounds, and 7 assists in 41 minutes. He shot 18 for 30 from the field, 9 for 11 from the foul line. Their starting center, Nikola Vucevic, finished with 23 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists in 36 minutes. He shot 8 for 18 from the field, and he shot 5 for 6 from the foul line on the day. On the winning end of this matchup, the Philadelphia 76ers were led in scoring by their elite starting center, Joel Embiid. Embiid finished with 40 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 blocks in 32 minutes. He shot 14 for 23 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3, and he shot 10 for 11 from the foul line. Their starting power forward, Tobias Harris, finished with 23 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 assists in 39 minutes. He shot 10 for 15 from the field and 3 for 5 from the foul line. With this win, the Philadelphia 76ers are 32-21. That is the 5th best record in the East. They've won 7 of their last 10 games. They sit a game and a half behind the first seed Miami Heat out east. With this loss, the Chicago Bulls are 33-20. That is the 2nd best record in the Eastern Conference. They've lost 5 of their last 10 games. They currently sit half a game behind the first seed Miami Heat out east. Taking a look at what went down in Minneapolis, the Minnesota Timberwolves hosted the Detroit Pistons. The Timberwolves beat the Pistons 118-105. They won this matchup by 13 after they outscored the Detroit Pistons by 5 in the third quarter and by 9 in the fourth by a combined 14 in the second half to overcome their 1-point deficit at halftime. On the losing end of this matchup, the Detroit Pistons were led in scoring by their starting small forward, Saddiq Bey. He finished with 24 points and 8 rebounds in 34 minutes. He shot 7 for 16 from the field, 6 for 11 from 3, and 4 for 5 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the Minnesota Timberwolves were led in scoring by their elite starting center out of Kentucky, Karl Anthony Towns. He finished with 24 points, 12 rebounds, and 2 assists in 38 minutes. The former number 1 overall pick shot 11 for 18 from the field and 2 for 3 from 3. Their starting point guard, D'Angelo Russell, finished with 22 points, 5 rebounds, and 8 assists in 30 minutes. He shot 7 for 18 from the field, 3 for 7 from 3, and a perfect 5 for 5 from the foul line. Their shooting guard off the bench, Malik Beasley, finished with 20 points and 9 rebounds in 22 minutes. He shot 7 for 15 from the field, 5 for 9 from 3, and 1 for 2 from the foul line. Their elite starting small forward, Anthony Edwards, finished with 17 points, 2 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals in 35 minutes. The former number 1 overall pick shot 4 for 12 from the field, 2 for 6 from 3, and 7 for 9 from the foul line. With this win, the Minnesota Timberwolves are now 28-25. That is the 7th best record in the Western Conference. They've won their last 4 games. They've currently won 7 of their last 10. Their 4-game winning streak is the 2nd longest winning streak in the Western Conference. They currently sit 14.5 games behind the first seed Phoenix Suns out west. With this loss, the Detroit Pistons are now 12-41. That is the 2nd worst record in the Eastern Conference. They've now lost their last 4 games. They are tied with the Charlotte Hornets for the 2nd longest losing streak in the East. They've lost 8 of their last 10. They are currently sitting 17 games behind the 8th seed Boston Celtics at the moment in the Eastern Conference. Taking a look at what went down in the Mile High City, the Denver Nuggets hosted the Brooklyn Nets. The Nuggets beat the Nets 124-104. They won this game by 20 after they outscored the Nets by 15 in the third quarter, not to mention 19 in the second half, as they were only up by 1 at halftime. On the losing end of this matchup, the Brooklyn Nets were led in scoring by their elite starting point guard out of Duke, Kyrie Irving. He finished with 27 points, 5 rebounds, 11 assists, and 3 blocks in 41 minutes. He shot 10 for 26 from the field, 3 for 9 from 3, and 4 for 5 from the foul line. Their shooting guard off the bench, Cam Thomas, finished with 20 points and 2 blocks in 32 minutes. He shot 7 for 16 from the field and 4 for 6 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Denver Nuggets were led in scoring by their elite starting center, last year's regular season MVP, Nikola Jokic. He finished with 27 points, 12 rebounds, 10 assists, and 2 steals in 30 minutes. He shot 12 for 15 from the field and 3 for 4 from the foul line. Their starting small forward, Will Barton, finished with 21 points and 6 rebounds in 33 minutes. He shot 7 for 12 from the field and 5 for 6 from the foul line. With this win, the Denver Nuggets are now 29-24. That is the 6th best record in the Western Conference. They've won 6 of their last 10 games. They sit 13.5 games behind the first seed Phoenix Suns out west. With this loss, the Brooklyn Nets are now 29-24. They hold the same record as the Nuggets. They are holding the 7th best record in the East. They've now lost their last 8 games. That is currently the longest active losing streak in the NBA. They've lost 8 of their last 10 games. They currently sit 4.5 games behind the first seed Miami Heat out east. Taking a look now at what went down in Cleveland, the Cavaliers hosted the Indiana Pacers from within their own division. The Cavaliers beat the Pacers 98-85. They won this matchup by 13 after outscoring the Pacers by 24 in the second half and by 20 in the fourth quarter. On the losing end of this matchup, the Indiana Pacers were led in scoring by their starting shooting guard Chris Duarte. He finished with 22 points and 5 rebounds in 36 minutes. He shot 7 for 12 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3, and a perfect 6 for 6 from the foul line. The hometown Cleveland Cavaliers on the winning end were led in scoring by their small forward off the bench out of Turkey, Cedi Osman. He finished with 22 points and 5 assists. He would do all of this in 31 minutes. He shot 8 for 16 from the field, 4 for 10 from 3, and a perfect 2 for 2 from the foul line. Their starting center, Jared Allen, would finish with 15 points, 17 rebounds, and 2 blocks in 31 minutes. He shot 5 for 12 from the field. Their point guard off the bench, Rajon Rondo, would finish with 15 points, 5 rebounds, and 12 assists in 32 minutes. He shot 5 for 10 from the field and 4 for 5 from the foul line. With this win, the Cleveland Cavaliers are 33-21. That is the 4th best record in the Eastern Conference. They've won their last 2 games, and they've won 7 of their last 10. They now sit a full game behind the first seed Miami Heat out east. With this loss, the Indiana Pacers are now 19-36. That is the 3rd worst record in the Eastern Conference. They've lost their last 3 games, and they've lost 7 of their last 10. They are currently sitting 11 games behind the 8th seed Boston Celtics outside of the Eastern Conference playoff picture. Jumping out to Orlando, the Magic hosted the Boston Celtics. The Celtics were able to beat the Magic 116-83. The Celtics won this game by 33 after they outscored the Magic by 10 in the first half. They would go on to outscore the Magic by 7 in the third quarter and 16 in the fourth by 23 in the second half of this matchup. On the losing end of this game, the hometown Orlando Magic were led in scoring by their starting shooting guard, their rookie out of Gonzaga, Jalen Suggs. He finished with 17 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 steals, alongside 6 turnovers in 30 minutes. He shot 5 for 11 from the field and a perfect 7 for 7 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the Boston Celtics were led in scoring by their starting shooting guard, Jaylen Brown. He finished with 26 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 steals in 29 minutes. He shot 10 for 22 from the field and a perfect 5 for 5 from the foul line. Their point guard off the bench, Dennis Schroeder, finished with 22 points in 20 minutes. He shot 8 for 15 from the field, 4 for 8 from 3, and a perfect 2 for 2 from the foul line. Their elite starting small forward, Jason Tatum, finished with 15 points, 9 rebounds, and 7 assists in 35 minutes. He shot 6 for 18 from the field, 2 for 8 from 3, and 1 for 2 from the foul line. Their starting center out of Florida, Al Horford, finished with 13 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists in 29 minutes. He shot 6 for 12 from the field. With this win, the Boston Celtics are now 30-25. That is the 8th best record in the Eastern Conference. They've now won their last 5 games. They are now tied with the Toronto Raptors for the longest active winning streak in the Eastern Conference. They are tied for the second longest winning streak in basketball behind the Golden State Warriors. The Celtics have now won 7 of their last 10 games. They sit 4.5 games behind the first seed Miami Heat out east. With this loss, the Orlando Magic are now 12-43. That is the worst record in the Eastern Conference, and that is the worst record in the entire NBA. They've lost their last 2 games, and they've lost 6 of their last 10. At the moment, they are sitting 18 games behind the 8th seed Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference at the moment. Taking a look at what went down in Dallas, the Mavericks hosted the Atlanta Hawks, and what is the matchup between the 2 best players that were traded for one another in the 2018 NBA draft. The Mavericks would end up beating the Hawks 103-94. They won this matchup by 9 after they outscored the Hawks by 5 in the fourth quarter. to extend their lead. On the losing end of this matchup, the Atlanta Hawks were led in scoring by their starting power forward, John Collins. He finished with 22 points and 18 rebounds in 35 minutes. He shot 10 for 20 from the field and a perfect 2 for 2 from the foul line. The Hawks' elite starting point guard out of Oklahoma, Trae Young, finished with 17 points, 2 rebounds, and 11 assists in 37 minutes. He shot 6 for 9 from the field and a perfect 5 for 5 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Dallas Mavericks were led in scoring by their starting small forward, Reggie Bullock, and their starting point guard, Jalen Brunson. Bullock finished with 22 points and 9 rebounds and 2 steals in 38 minutes. He shot 8 for 14 from the field and 6 for 10 from 3. Jalen Brunson finished with 22 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists in 30 minutes. He shot 9 for 14 from the field and 4 for 5 from 3. Their elite starting shooting guard out of Slovenia, Luka Doncic, finished with 18 points, 10 rebounds, and 11 assists in 28 minutes. He shot 6 for 17 from the field, 1 for 3 from 3, and 5 for 6 from the foul line on the night. With this win, the Dallas Mavericks are now 31-23. That is the 5th best record in the Western Conference. They've won their last 2 games and they've won 6 of their last 10. They sit 12 games behind the Western Conference leading Phoenix Suns. With this loss, the Atlanta Hawks are now 25-28. That is currently the 10th best record in the Eastern Conference. They've lost their last 2 games. They've only lost 3 of their last 10. They sit 4 games behind the 8 seed Boston Celtics outside of the Eastern Conference playoff picture. Jumping out to Houston, the Houston Rockets hosted the New Orleans Pelicans. The Pelicans would end up beating the Rockets 120-107. The Pelicans won this matchup by 13 after they outscored the Pelicans by 15 points in the third quarter, by 18 points in the second half to overcome their 5-point deficit coming in. On the losing end of this matchup, the Houston Rockets were on the home end of this matchup, were led in scoring by their starting center, Christian Wood. Wood finished with 22 points and 8 rebounds in 35 minutes. He shot 8 for 15 from the field, 3 for 6 from 3, and he would go on to shoot 3 for 4 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the New Orleans Pelicans were led in scoring by their elite starting small forward out of Duke, Brandon Ingram. He finished with 33 points, 3 rebounds, 12 assists, and 3 steals in 36 minutes. He shot 12 for 21 from the field, 3 for 5 from 3, and 6 for 9 from the foul line. Their center off the bench out of Texas, Jackson Hayes, finished with 21 points, 7 rebounds, 2 steals, and 2 blocks in 28 minutes. He shot 8 for 10 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3, and 4 for 6 from the foul line. With this win, the New Orleans Pelicans are now 21-32. That is currently the 10th best record in the Western Conference. They've won their last 3 games and they've won 5 of their last 10. They sit 5 games behind the 8 seed LA Clippers out west, outside of the playoff picture. With this loss, the Houston Rockets are 15-38. That is the worst record in the Western Conference. They've lost their last 2 games and they've lost 7 of their last 10. At the moment, they sit 11 games behind the 8 seed Los Angeles Clippers out west. Last but not least, speaking of the Los Angeles Clippers, the Clippers hosted the defending champs, the Milwaukee Bucks. The Bucks would beat the Clippers 137-113. The Bucks won this matchup by 24 after they outscored the Clippers by 13 in the second quarter, 9 in the third quarter, and they would outscore the Clippers by 15 in the fourth. So they outscored them by 15 in the second half after outscoring them by 13 in the second quarter. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown LA Clippers were led in scoring by their small forward off the bench, Norman Powell. He finished with 28 points in 24 minutes. He shot 9 for 16 from the field, 4 for 8 from 3, and 6 for 7 from the foul line. Their starting small forward, Marcus Morris Sr., finished with 20 points and 8 rebounds in 30 minutes. He shot 7 for 15 from the field, 5 for 8 from 3, and he made his only free throw attempt on the night. On the winning end of this matchup, the Milwaukee Bucks were led in scoring by their elite starting power forward, last year's NBA Finals MVP, Giannis Antetokounmpo. He would finish with 28 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 blocks in 31 minutes. He shot 8 for 15 from the field, 2 for 3 from 3, and 10 for 12 from the foul line. Their starting point guard, Drew Holiday, finished with 27 points, 5 rebounds, 13 assists, and 2 steals in 36 minutes. He shot 11 for 16 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3, and 3 for 4 from the foul line. Their starting center, Bobby Portis, finished with 24 points and 11 rebounds in 29 minutes. He shot 8 for 12 from the field, 4 for 5 from 3, and a perfect 4 for 4 from the foul line. With this win, the Milwaukee Bucks are now 34-21. That is the third best record in the Eastern Conference. They've now won their last 3 games. They've won 7 of their last 10. They now sit half a game behind the first seed Miami Heat at the moment. And with this loss, the Los Angeles Clippers are 27-28. That is the 8th best record in the Western Conference. They've lost 5 of their last 10 games. They currently sit 16.5 games behind the Western Conference leading Phoenix Suns, who have only lost 10 games of their first 52. That is what the NBA is looking like following yesterday's matchups, and of course, taking a look at what's going on today. Today is Monday, so of course, the primetime matchup is going to be on NBA TV. At 8 o'clock, the Chicago Bulls, who hold the second best record in the Eastern Conference, are going to host the Phoenix Suns, who hold the best record in the Western Conference. This matchup is going to be in the United Center at 8 o'clock. It's going to be on NBA TV. Looking at the games that aren't going to be on prime time at 7 o'clock, the Charlotte Hornets are going to host the Toronto Raptors in the Spectrum Center. The Washington Wizards are going to host the Miami Heat in the Capital One Arena at 7 o'clock as well. At 8 o'clock, the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to host the Golden State Warriors in the Paycom Center in Oklahoma City. And then at last but not least, at 9 o'clock, the Utah Jazz are going to host the New York Knicks in the Vivint Arena in Salt Lake City. Taking a look at what's going on in the world of soccer. First, to finish off everything that we were leading up to this week with the African Cup of Nations. The final game, of course, was yesterday as Senegal was able to face off against Egypt. Senegal, of course, making it here after they finished at the top of Group B. Egypt making here after finishing second in Group D. This matchup would end up 0-0 in regulation as Senegal would end up beating Egypt 4-2 on penalties. And of course, the last penalty would be taken by their elite winger who now plays for Liverpool, Sadio Mane. After Mane had a chance of making a penalty kick in regulation, he missed it. He got a chance to right that wrong, and he most definitely did. And now Senegal will be the team that will carry the trophy home. They will finish as the winners of the trophy, Egypt runners-up, and Cameroon, the host nation, will finish as the third team in AFCON to finish the tournament. And that is how the 2022 tournament will come to an end, and I will do a championship profile for this Senegal team. Taking a look at what went down in the 4th round of the English FA Cup, Liverpool hosted Cardiff City and was able to pull off a 3-1 win without Sadio Mane and Mo Salah. All 3 of their goals came in the second half from Diogo Jota, Takumi Minamino, and Harvey Elliott before Cardiff City scored its lone goal. With this win, they will advance to, of course, the next round where of course, some of the best competition in Europe or in England still awaits them. Taking a look as we go eastward upon the continent, moving to Spain and La Liga, Barcelona hosted Atletico Madrid, and Barcelona was able to beat Atletico Madrid 4-2. First goal of this matchup came from Yannick Carrasco of Atletico Madrid. Barcelona would even it up 2 minutes later off of a crazy goal from Jordi Alba. Xavi would score in the 21st minute, and then Ronald Araujo would score in the 43rd to put Barca up 3-1 in the first half to go into the half. And then Dani Alves' 49th minute goal would put Barca up 4-1. And then Luis Suarez, Atletico Madrid's elite striker from Uruguay, would score the last goal of the game, making it 4-2 before Alves of Barcelona was called off for a red card. With this win, Barcelona now sits 4th in La Liga as they sit 2 points behind third place Real Betis. And of course, with this loss, Atletico Madrid now sits 5th in La Liga as they sit 2 points behind 4th place Barcelona with the same amount of games played in the table. Taking a look at the team that's sitting on top of La Liga this season, Real Madrid was able to beat Granada 1-0 as its lone goal came in the 74th minute from Marco Asensio. With this win, Real Madrid sits 6 points clear of second place Sevilla. So that was a very comfortable win for them. Taking a look at what went down in France as we go a little bit more east, Paris Saint-Germain faced off against the reigning Ligue 1 champs, LOSC Lille, and PSG was able to beat Lille 5-1 to, of course, retain their seat atop the Ligue 1. First goal of the game was scored by Danilo Pereira in the 10th minute. Lille would even it up at 1 in the 28th minute from Sven Botman. Second goal of the game came from PSG's defender Presnel Kimpembe. Third goal of the game came from their goated Argentinian forward Lionel Messi in the 38th minute. Fourth goal came from Pereira to give him the brace for the day. And then the last goal for PSG came in the 67th minute from their elite young striker, or their elite young forward, Kylian Mbappe, to, of course, give them this win. With this win, PSG now sits 13 points clear of second place Marseille in the French Ligue 1. And LOSC Lille now sits 11th in the Ligue 1. They sit even with 10th place Nantes, 1 place behind 9th place Lens. Just to see how close they are, right? They are jam-packed in the middle. Going a little bit east, dipping down to Italy, Juventus would go on to host Hellas Verona. Their first goal would come from their newest acquirement, Dusan Vlahovic, in the 13th minute, as he holds the Serie A lead in goals, as he has 18 this season. And then Dennis Zakaria, 61st minute, would give Juventus a needed. With this win, Juventus now sits 4th in Serie A. They sit 7 points below third place Milan at the moment, as they've played one more game than Atalanta and sit 2 points above. Atalanta is still in position to jump them with the next game that they play. But of course, also looking at what went down in Italy, Napoli went to Venice and was able to beat Venezia 2-0. With this win, they sit even with Milan, tied at 52, as they sit 1 point below Inter Milan, who's played one less game than both of them. Jumping up to Germany, the second spot Borussia Dortmund club would host third place Bayer Leverkusen. Bayer Leverkusen would end up beating Dortmund 5-2. First goal of the game was an own goal by Dortmund to put Leverkusen up 1-0. Second goal of the game was an own goal by Leverkusen to even the game up at 1. And then Bayer Leverkusen would score 4 straight goals from Florian Wirtz, Robert Andrich, Jonathan Tah, and Moussa Diaby to put them up 5-1 before Stefan Tigges would score in the 89th minute to give Borussia Dortmund its second goal. With this win, Bayer Leverkusen is now currently sitting third in the Bundesliga still. They sit 5 points behind second place Borussia Dortmund. With this loss, second place Borussia Dortmund is sitting 9 points behind first place Bayern Munich in the chase for the German title. So that's what that league is looking like. And that's everything that I have from yesterday. Not to mention that in the FIFA Club World Cup, Al Hilal would end up beating Al Jazeera 6-1, as they will advance to the third round of this matchup. Taking a look, of course, at what's going on today in this Monday of soccer. Not much going on. I guess the biggest matchups that are going on, there's a Serie A and a La Liga game going on, even Portuguese Liga, but nothing that's really determining the bigger games that's going on there. Taking a look now what's going on with the 2022 Winter Olympics that are going on in Beijing. Taking a look at the events that would take place yesterday on February 6th on a completely different time zone. Starting with cross-country skiing. In the men's 15-kilometer and 15-kilometer skiathlon, the gold medal went to Alexander Bulshanov of Russian Olympic Committee, and the silver medal went to Denis Spitsov of the Russian Olympic Committee as well. Bronze medal went to Levo Ninsakin of Finland. Looking at how the other medals went in freestyle skiing, the women's moguls final 3 gold medal went to Jakara Anthony of Australia. United States would claim the silver, and the Russian Olympic Committee would claim the bronze. In luge, in men's singles run 4, the gold medal went to Johannes Ludwig, as I believe he broke the world record, or at least the Olympic record. Silver would go to Austria, and bronze went to Italy. In ski jumping, in the men's normal hill individual final round, the gold medal went to Ryo Kobayashi of Japan. He would take the gold. Silver would go to Austria, and bronze went to Poland. In snowboarding, the women's snowboard slopestyle final run 3 gold medal went to Zoe Sadowski-Synnott of New Zealand. The silver medal will go to the United States as the bronze medal went to Australia. And then last but not least, in speed skating in the men's 5,000 meters, the gold medal went to Nils van der Poel of Sweden, as the silver medal went to the Netherlands, and the bronze medal would end up going to Norway. Following yesterday's competition, the Russian Olympic Committee is in the league with the most medals, as they have 5 of them. However, Norway and Sweden have the most gold medals, as they both have 2 of them. Norway, Austria, Italy are the 3 countries that currently have 3 medals at the moment. And right now, Sweden, Germany, Netherlands, the Austria, Japan, and Slovakia all have 2 medals. But right now, that's what the results are after day 2. And of course, as we are going through, I'm going to update you every single day as we go through. Now that all of yesterday's matchups and events are done, but once all of today's events, exhibitions, and matchups are done, I'm going to come back tomorrow on Tuesday, February 8th for another episode of The Elite. And until then, I want to thank everyone for listening to The Elite. I hope all is well, and I will catch you with another episode tomorrow. Until then, thanks for listening. I hope all is well, and I'll catch you with another piece tomorrow. Another piece right after this to congratulate Senegal for winning the 2022 African Cup of Nations tournament. Thank you to ESPN, the NCAA, NFL, NBA, and FIFA websites, even the Olympic websites for giving me everything I need. And I'll catch everyone with more tomorrow. Peace out.